Welcome back to episode 8 of One Quick Barra Swap. Now we've missed a week, the boys are really busy around here at the moment, so now it is time to get back into the car. Now with it, I'm going to get Matty to give this engine a service while it's in there. He's going to fit a strut brace kit, so we're going to strengthen the front of the car up. We've got more power, we're going to need more strength. I'll jump to the 9-inch diff. Now it's about to come out of the spray booth. I'll show you guys how I assemble it. I'll get Jace to give me a hand. We'll get the 4 bars in it, we'll get the coilovers in it, we'll get it back on wheels, and we'll try and tidy up a few loose ends.
Alright, so we're here, we're just going to give it a quick service, put it up in the air, put a new oil filter on it, some Penrite oil, all recommended by our local Auto Pro store. Mark went down yesterday and grabbed some stuff for it. Set of plugs over here, we'll put them in it later on. So we'll just get it up and get it started. Alright, so we're just draining the last bit of oil out of the car, didn't have much in it anyway. We'll spin the old oil filter off. See if there's anything in there, let that drain out while we're going. We'll get our new oil filter. Tip a bit of oil in it because you might as well prime it up before we get going, just in case. Rub a bit of oil around the rubber seal. Make a better seal and won't pinch the O-ring when you put it back on, and just send her on and away you go. Only do it up hand tight, doesn't need to be any tighter than that.
Alright, so I'm just going to quickly break this episode up. We've had really good feedback on this car and a bit of negative feedback. And the negative feedback was caused by me and my mistake. So I'm going to whip that fuel pump out, I'm going to rectify it properly, get it back in there, and then we'll get back to the episode. Righto, so I dismantled the pump. I have soldered a nice little eyelet terminal onto the positive feed here, so that can bolt straight to the stud. And also, to take up the slack with the smaller pump, I've machined up a nice, well, got the boys in the machine shop, I should say, to machine up a nice aluminium little boss here. So we'll clip that in. Now, fits in there nice, slide it over the pump, all rectified. So let me get this pump back in the tank, we'll reassemble, back in the tank, and let's get back to the episode. Righto, so we're going to make a plan of attack here on the Falcon. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to head over the back and assemble the 9-inch diff. Now it's out of the booth, everything's laid out, so I'll show you guys how to assemble it. While I'm doing that, Matt's going to work on the front of the vehicle. So I've left Matty with a strut brace kit. He'll talk you guys through on how to fit it.
Alright, so here we've got our early Falcon strut brace kit. I've never fitted one of these, so it's a learning curve for me as well. So I'm just going to lay out all my parts, figure out what I've got here, and then I'll start stripping down the car. Alright, so I'm going to pull a wiper off the passenger side. I'm going to pull a plenum off so I can get in there. This car's got a vacuum reservoir in the plenum, which this is the only one we've found with it. So I'm going to strip all this out, then I'll get the strut brace kit that I've laid out earlier and we'll start putting it in here.
Righto, so here I am with the 9-inch. I sat this out before. Now I've fully washed this out, cleaned it up, ready to put the gasket on. I've got my True Track center. Now it's a 3:5 ratio. We run 31 spline axles, so we've got these set. Now they're pre-cut because I had to pre-cut them to test it in the car so we'd sit the wheels on. So I'm lucky enough, I've already pre-cut these, chamfered them down, they're right to go. So what I'm going to do is give it one last wipe out, get a gasket on, spray it up, drop the center in, pick my brakes off the shelf, and we should be right to go. Now I've just sprayed the gasket. When we use our gasket, we just use a copper gasket. It doesn't matter what brand it is. Put a nice heavy coat on both sides. sitting on there gently, it really helps seal up.
Alright, so we're just going to measure from the inside of the guard to the inside of the guard across the firewall here, so I can figure out the centre line of the engine bay. Same with the bracket that goes to mount onto the firewall. We'll measure that out, mark the centre of that, so then we get it in the centre of the car and it doesn't look silly. We go with that. So I've got our line here, dots on the back side of the strut brace kit, mounting point. So line them up, sit it where it's going to sit. So our vacuum canister is going to come right out into the back side of the rose joint for the strut brace kit. So we're going to have to make a plan and relocate that a bit later on, but we'll get the strut brace kit fitted up first and foremost, and then we'll come back to that a bit later on.
Now when we're putting the axles in the diff, they've got a double O-ring on the outer there which seals them up. So what we need to do is just put a little bit of diff oil, or any oil probably wouldn't really matter. Give them a nice little smear on each bearing. Put a little smear of oil on the housing. Just make sure you don't tear that rubber O-ring. Alright, so I've assembled the diff. What I'll do is I'll just go and check with Jace what he's done with all the bars, and then we'll put the bushes in, run through that. Then once Maddie's finished in the engine bay, we'll be able to lift the car up and be able to fit it.
Alright, we've got our front strut brace mount, then you've got a sandwich plate to go at the back in your plenum, 3 of the smaller bolts that come in the kit. So we've got the strut brace shock mount part and the outrigger tube for it. Just going to remove the shocker top because that gets sandwiched in between it. Now with these there is a left and a right hand side, so it's pretty self-explanatory. One will point at the brace and one will point completely away. So I've got our strut rod here. We'll just put it into the car now. Got the large bolts that come with the kit. Should just drop through here. Should. Just make sure you've got clearance off everything. In this case, we may need to move that lug off the manifold at some point if the engine moves that far, but I doubt it. And there you have it, pretty much. Tighten everything up and you're good to go. All right, so we've got our strut brace kit, everything sorted. Just got to find a new home for this vac tank. So by the looks of it, I've run a hose in there because it won't fit in the normal way, so we'll go in sideways with it, I reckon, on this one. That fits in there pretty snug, so I'll just go off and make up a bracket for it real quick. Doesn't matter, it's not structural, so we'll just make up something fast. That should hold it pretty good, so I'll just put the cover back on the plenum, put the wiper arm back on, leave the hose out here so Mark can fix that up when he's finished plumbing up the dash and stuff in it. Happy days.
Alright, so now the strut brace kit is all fitted up. I'm going to grab the 9-inch, so I'll wheel over and grab that. I'll throw the car in the air. I'll get Jace to give me a hand and we'll get it all fitted up. Alright, so I'm here at the back of the Falcon. Behind me the 9 inches underneath, ready to go. Jace has rolled in with the trolley. What do we got, mate?
So, this is our kit. As you'll get it, as you unbox it, we've got your lower arms, upper arms with the plates pre-mounted.
Yep, beautiful.
Your coilovers, coilover mounting plates, nut and bolt kit.
Beautiful. Now, as you can see, it is our car, so the coilovers are a little bit scratched and they've been used in Jace's bay a few times, so ignore that bit, but the rest of it looks really good. So, we're going to give everyone a rundown of how to fit it. What's your idea? What's the best way to attack it?
So I reckon the best thing is to get the diff out of the way.
Yep.
We'll get the arms mounted, go from there.
Right. So arms are going to go on, obviously the new brackets, we've got the hardware, there's standard bolts through the lower arms, and what do you want to do, swing the coilovers or not as well? Throw them on, either way it shouldn't really matter.
Either way, doesn't matter.
Oh.
Yeah, we'll get the arms mounted and then mount the diff and...
Make a plan from there?
Yeah, yep.
Alright, sounds easy. Alright, let's do it. So just saying that why me and Jace fit in the lower arms, it retains the factory bolt. Factory bolt, smaller bushing. So if we have a look at there, use the larger one on our diff, the smaller one goes to the factory mounting point.
So I've done them up tight, just handed the ratchet to Mark. He's going to do his side up tight, and then we've decided on second thought that we'll let it down, put the coilover mounts on. It's just going to be a little bit easier, but it doesn't really matter which way you do it.
Alright, so Jace has thrown me inside the boot, and he's given me 8 bolts. Now what we are going to do, on each side, we're going to use the original mounting hardware. So, like I always harp, OEM, we try and stay as much original as we can for strength and everything else, keeps the engineers happy. So, original mounting point here, I'm going to drop that through the floor. I've got a spanner in here, I'll hold it and I'll get Jace to nip them up from underneath.
Go to blue.
Right, mate. Righto, what's our plan, Jace? What are we thinking?
Wheel this under, we'll get the arms bolted in, then coilovers, and then she's about done.
Perfect. Perfect.
Alright, so we just got to bolt the coilovers in now.
Righto, so just bolts, nuts, what are we doing?
Just put bolts in for now.
Yep.
We'll put nuts on everything later. We just want all the bolts in loose.
Yep.
Once everything's bolted in, then we'll do it up tight. Done.
Easy as that. Alright, I've got me 2 bolts, me 2 snaps. So one thing with the Vikings, not sure which way Jace has set up, bottom or top? With their fittings on these?
On the top, yeah.
So it doesn't matter. So with a Viking coilover, the best thing is you can go either way, won't matter. The things work amazing. They have the compression, the rebound. We give them a rat, it's because they've got good success rate. We use them in everything. So whatever way you want to put them, you put them. There's clearance here either way. I'm going to follow instructions. We'll sit them in there. We can put one either way, it wouldn't matter. But what I'm saying, that's how good Viking is. Best on the market. Works really well. Alright, you're going to put the other side on, Jason, and then we'll have to lower the car down for the diff, mate.
Which way did you put yours again?
Dials to the bottom front.
Mate?
Alright, no worries. So now we're in position. Going to lower the car down, just saved lifting the diff up. Put the lower bolt in. Done. Alright, so we've got all the bolts in. Now we just need to go and put the washers and nuts on. And the boys in the office have ordered us a new sway bar from Whiteline to suit an XC Falcon, which is what we've got it set up as. So when that turns up, then we'll show you how to fit it.
There we go, mate, all good?
Oh yeah, getting there.
Alright, so I'll drop the tail shaft in. Righto, so I'm going to get the snowflakes back on it now and roll it around the ground. Jace wants to check a few clearance things. Being a new product, we want to triple check what we've done. So next week when we get back, hopefully I can hook the handbrake up, plumb the rear brakes in, that's another job out of the way. Also, a bit of luck, the radiator will turn up, didn't quite make it on freight this week, so like and subscribe below. Thanks again for watching, see you next week.